If you are a print, paper, or stationery lover visiting Tokyo, you may get overwhelmed by all of the wonderful shopping opportunities. I would like to recommend a visit to the Ichigaya Letterpress Factory to take a break and take in some wonderful cultural history. This free museum is based in the Ichigaya area of Shinjuku, and I found it to be a lovely break from the bustle of the city. So come along with me as we take a look around and participate in some of the activities. The Ichigaya Letterpress Factory isn't near any tourist attractions. In fact, it is based near the Ministry of Defense. Walking there, it was very, very quiet and very unlike the rest of Tokyo. There were barely any cars on the streets. I didn't see many people at all. It was a little bit eerie, but if you do want some breathing space, I think that this is a great thing to put into your itinerary for a bit of a slow down day. There are different stations nearby, but there is a little bit of a walk if you want to find this museum. On arrival, you will see the distinctive 1926 Art Deco building. Lurking behind it in this glass modern building is Dai Nippon Publishing, who own the Ichigaya Letterpress Factory. Once inside, I recommend picking up one of these guidebooks. They have them in Japanese, English, and simplified Chinese. They do also have QR codes on the exhibits which you can scan, and it will take you to an online version of the guidebook which you can translate into your own language. As a lover of architecture, I really appreciated the detail they had about the restoration of the building, and to see the before picture, which is on the right hand side, as the factory had become overwhelmed with additions through the years. They even include some lovely photographs of some of the architectural details of the clock tower and the interior. And I feel that this building really sings on a sunny day with the blue sky behind it. But now we're done looking at the outside, let's take a look at what we can find inside. Inside we are greeted by an operating press, which at the time I was visiting didn't have any paper on it, but it was really interesting to see how it operated. On the first floor we have the factory, and also on the ground floor there is a cafe and a small archive space. The factory section provides a recreation of what it may have looked like when it used to be a printing plant. This is a semi-living museum, so there were workers all around the place using different processes, and they do run full workshops if you are interested, but I believe these are only in Japanese. I found it really interesting to see all of the different machinery and processes that have been used throughout the years to print. On the day that I visited, there were maybe a few other visitors, so it was a really lovely space just to take my time to look at everything in a very calm environment. They have display cases which shows you from start to finish the full printing process, including drawings of the characters, engravings, casting and setting the types, onto printing and binding. There were so many wonderful items on display, and as someone who works in museums, I really appreciate the opening of the drawers to let us have a look at the wonders of their collection. Even though I don't speak much Japanese and I definitely don't write it, it was really interesting to see all of the different characters come to life in the different typesettings. And just seeing all of these racks of tiny little characters ready to be put into typesetting was just so fascinating to see. It was really nice to see these displays, which were very neatly organised, but I can just imagine back when it was a fully functioning factory, that there would have been the smell of ink in the air, the heat from the machinery would have been radiating, so it's quite a privilege to have some peace and calm in which to look at all of the objects that used to be used for a very busy printing press. Here I also liked that they included some examples of the printed paper, which you could see below. You couldn't touch these, but it was nice to see how it sort of evolves through the process. There was also this gigantic interactive touchscreen that you could use. I believe it was only in Japanese, but you could use a translating app on your phone if you wished to try it. Even though it felt like quite a small museum, there was just so much to see because you're looking at objects which are really, really small. I kept being drawn back to the printing press at the front of the museum. They do actually use it every day, but it just depends on what time you arrive on whether you will see the paper running through it or not. In a corner nearby, they had the bookbinding machine and then some other items showing you the bookbinding process. There are also more details on the entire process in the guidebook, so from drawing and engraving to casting, picking, composing. and then moving on to pressing and bookbinding, and there is a small selection here of books and magazines that have been produced in the factories here for the past 100 years. I found this corner to be small but very interesting with all of the different bookbinding techniques, and they had on display lots of the tools that were used for the various bookbinding methods. After having a good look around downstairs, I took the beautifully restored staircase up to the second floor to see what they had on offer upstairs. Up here they have a workshop space, an exhibition space, and the shop. Reaching the top of the stairs, you can see the gallery space directly ahead of you, and that's where I headed first. When I visited in December 2025, they had an exhibition on foiling. They do change their temporary exhibitions quite regularly, so if you are planning to visit, I would recommend checking out their website to see what is on. This exhibition was very visually striking. I was like a magpie drawn to all of the lovely shiny foils, and I actually learned quite a lot. Even though I didn't translate all of the exhibition materials, it was just fascinating to see so many different types of foil. I didn't know that there were so many colours and so many different styles of holographic and reflective foils that you could use in printmaking. Towards the back of the exhibition, they demonstrated all the different applications that foil could be used on, and I think they even commissioned some artists, so that is why there are these fabric pieces and some wonderful artworks on the wall. Of course, they also had a selection of books that they had foiling on the cover as part of the design element, and also some books with the gilded pages. They also demonstrated how they used foiling for the exhibition posters, of which I picked up a couple. And you can see here that they have different foil types using that printing block that was on display, so it was a great souvenir to take home. After visiting the exhibition space, I moved into the workshop area, where a very kind man offered for me to use their foiling machine. He set up this little bookmark which had the logo from the exhibition, and he laid out the gold foil so that I could try and use the machine. This interaction was one of the highlights of my trip. He was very kind and he spoke very good English, and I really appreciated the efforts he went to make me feel welcome in the museum. All I did was move the lever, and I think I held it down for a bit too long as he very quickly lifted it up again, but I got to keep both the little bookmark that we had put the foiling onto, and he also gave me the little piece of foil for me to keep as well. He was also very helpful in translating an interaction between myself and another person working in the workshop. I had picked up a risograph print in the shop, and there was a woman working on a risograph machine printing a calendar for 2026. She didn't speak that much English, so he helped us have a conversation. We talked about London and art, and it was just so wholesome, and I really, really enjoyed my time talking to them. Here is also the shop, so if you like stationery and books, I think you will love this shop. They had a focus display for the exhibition, as well as lots of other lovely printed products, including postcards and papers and books, just everything you would expect from a museum like this. I really love pulling out drawers and looking at all of the different papers, and I did pick some of them up while I was here. This is the calendar that the lovely woman was printing, and I had already bought 2 or 3 calendars for 2026, so I didn't end up getting one, but it is absolutely beautiful. I also really like the idea of this postcard calendar where you could insert your own postcard to have as the artwork for the calendar. I also really loved these benches, which looked like giant types. Before I finished up my visit, I headed downstairs to the toilets, but also there is a small little garden area outside that you can visit. And it being December, there were some lovely autumn leaves on the tree, and it provided a good opportunity to have a lovely closer look at the architecture of the building. And they had this big DNP, which looked like the typesetting, and it also reflected the big logo on that glass modern building behind us. On my way out, I reflected on my time visiting the Ichigaya Letterpress Factory, and I'm really glad that I made the effort to come here and take a break from a busy go itinerary. So I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me. I do have lots of other videos about Japan and stationery up on my channel, so please do subscribe. And I look forward to taking you along with me on another adventure very soon.